Hey friends, and welcome to how to take flowers from your background and use them as foreground overlays. This gorgeous image is of Hillary in this beautiful on a tree aunt dress, and I have taken flowers from the background and used them in the foreground with some other overlays that I have that are completely not needed. You don't have to have them, but I love overlays. I'm an overlay junkie, so I use them for a little bit of pop of pink and a little bit different texture. So if you're unfamiliar with what foreground is, so basically the foreground is what is in between you and your subject, which would be anything between Hillary or I. So when I refer to the foreground, I'm pretty much referring to like right here. If I were going to make these look like they were extending out closer to her, they would be more in focus. So you'll notice that anything I put in the foreground is usually going to be quite blurry, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And I'm going to show you how to add light to it to make it more make it look more realistic. So let's go ahead and start. It's going to be linked in the description of the video. The backdrop, the dress, the actions that I use, and everything is going to be linked in the video below the video in the description. Okay, let's get started. So what I like to do is I like to use any of the flowers that are in the backdrop as foreground overlays. It also helps. Now this backdrop was right here, and I extended it. To help yourself out in the future, always take a picture of your background without a subject or from far away, like the whole thing, because you just never know what elements you're going to want to use to turn them into overlays or in Photoshop later. So save yourself and just snap a quick shot of the background without your subject in it, so that then you have that to utilize later if you need to. It really comes in helpful for me too, especially when I'm extending the image in Photoshop. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over first to our selection tool, quick selection tool, and then you're going to make sure it's the plus, and then you can make it bigger and smaller with the bracket keys. And all I'm going to do is just select these flowers, and it's gonna get some wonky parts, but we're gonna fix that here in just a second. Also go ahead and go along down the bottom, because what you're not gonna use, but then you never know what you're gonna wanna use, so you don't wanna cut off something that you might potentially use on the bottom. Now what I'm doing right now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that blue flower. So I'm gonna kind of stick around these, because like, for example, the blue background is not gonna be in the foreground. So I'm gonna make sure that I take that out. Now you could like really come in here and like, really try to use this do this in great detail, but there's really no need, because what we're gonna do is blur it, and you're not going to be able to see details. I just don't want any of that blue color in there, because your eye sees this blue in the background and it thinks of it that way instead of in the foreground. So once you have that selected and you're happy with that, go ahead and on your keyboard you're going to hit Command J, and what that's going to do is it's going to just copy your selection onto a new layer, as you can see over here, and it's going to be layer 1. So you'll see if I go back to my select tool, I can grab it and move it around. I can also make it bigger, because this is going to be our foreground flowers, one of them. So once you have this, you're going to hit Command J again. And hold on, you're going to say, yes, I like that, Photoshop. And then you're going to hit Command J again. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you another one to put over here on the right. Could I come in here and select these? Yes. Am I lazy? Also yes. So I'm not going to do that. So I choose to work smarter, not harder. So I just duplicate, and I'm going to show you. So this is my duplicate. I am simply going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, and then it's going to put it this way. So I kind of want it in front of her dress just a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to take that selection. I'm happy with the positioning of that because it looks different, and I'm going to clean that up here in just a minute, and I'll show you. So you're going to select your layer. I'm going to work on the right side first, and I'm going to choose filter, blur, and then we're going to choose Gaussian blur. Now that's a little bit too much. I would like to sort of be able to make out that there's stems, but kind of not. And you can just, and it's really personal preference, because I was shooting this probably at 2.8. So anything in my foreground is going to be pretty blurry. And you can always back out and kind of look at that. So I'm okay with that because we can always adjust it. So then what's cool is, so once you're good with that, then you're going to hit this one. And then you can just go to File, and at the very top, it's going to be whatever the last filter was that you used, and it's just going to do the same thing. So then I'm going to take this, and on the edges, I want to kind of start to like see the edges of her dress, because there is another video that I did where I actually put fake flowers right in front of my camera to use as foreground. You can look for that video. I'll try to link it below. And you can see the outline of the dress in it. So then I want that to kind of show, because I know that if this were real foreground flowers, I'm going to kind of start to see that edge. Okay, so over here, I know that, I mean, this is okay. I'm going to maybe tilt it a little bit. Okay, I like that better. Yeah. Yep, I like that better. So this right here is bugging me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, I want to kind of brush that out. So I'm going to select the layer, and anything I want to manipulate in here, I'm just going to add a layer mask, which is the little thing that looks like a camera down here. It's going to give me a mask of the layer. So the layer is white. Okay. So that means that if I make my brush black on this mask, I'm going to take away whatever's there. And the bigger your brush is, as long as it's a soft brush, the softer the edges are going to be. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. So I think I'm going to mess with that one edge that I just want to soften it just a little bit. There we go. I like that a lot. Okay, I'm happier with that, because that was like a weird, and it's over here too. And I'm not down with that really. There we go. I like that better. Okay, yeah. Okay. So that, if you wanted it a little bit blurrier, you can do that. I'm okay with it that way. I like to see a little bit of the stems of the flowers, and you can kind of back out and see things better, and I'm cool with that. So another thing that I'm going to do to make them look, you can also, now that I'm saying that, I'm going to show you. There's one other thing that you can do too. So you can add like a haze over any overlays, and that kind of like blends them in. Like I'm going to try this pink one. So like if you wanted to kind of blend them in a little bit, like you can see that kind of softens it, and then you could always mask it off of her a little bit and then make her, the real focal point. And that's pretty. And that's just what that is it's an airy vignette from this Joy of Light, Light and Airy collection from Greater Than Gatsby, which I love. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, because I'm going to show you guys what I did in the other image. So what I did in the other image is I'm thinking the light is coming from this way. And so if the light is coming from this way, when I add a flare, it's probably going to bring light on the tops of these flowers. So the way we can fake that is go into a soft movable light. So that Light and Airy collection has a great one. There's some in other collections too. This is just the one that I was using with this image. It's the Natural Pure. You know what? Maybe I'll try the Warm. I can't remember if I used the Warm. Let's try the Natural Pure first. Yeah, it was the Warm. So I'm going to delete that. By the way, this is the second time I've recorded this video. The first one went corrupt or something crazy. And so I'm recording this again. So we're going to make it a little bit bigger to where it extends to these flowers. I'm good with that. I didn't move it. You can move it. But I'm going to bring it like that, okay? Now, I realize that she's covered. I'm only trying to put light on these flowers. So what I'm going to do is, with this selected, I'm going to show you guys something. Option Command G will make it be mask to this layer below it, okay? So watch. See how it adds some light to those flowers? So if I can Command J, I'm going to pull it down to the other layer and put it on that other. See, that's what I did with the other one too. So then I'm going to then do another one, which I'm going to put over here. Then I'm going to mask it off of Hillary's face. And like I said, I already recorded this video once. So if there is something that I'm not telling you guys, let me know. So what's really cool is then you can go in and add. You can go in and make it a lot or make it a little. You could even brush it on the edges if you wanted. But I'm good with that. Okay, so just for reference, here's before and after. Before and after. Okay, so you can stop here, which we all know if you've watched any of my videos, can't stop, won't stop. Oh, I added a haze to it, which is really pretty. This action set has, where did it go? So the light and airy has these hazes that are just at the bottom of the image, and they're so pretty, and you can always come in and they're so pretty, and you can always come in and mask it off and kind of act like it's kind of like a haze like on the flowers. Because when you actually do shoot through the foreground, it does create a little bit of a haze. So I had added some of these cherry blossom overlays that I have, and it was really just because I kind of wanted like a little bit of texture in there. This is 150% optional. This is not something that you have to have by any means. I am, like I said, a junkie of overlays, and so I just had these. So it's like a, see how it adds kind of like a different, and you could always make it a little bit blurrier. See how it just adds a little bit of texture. So my kind of rule of thumb is, and sometimes I'll back it up, because when the majority of people, unfortunately, are going to see your photos on a tiny screen. And so I will back it up like this little dark spot right here. Meh. So what I'm going to do is kind of lift this that way. And see if that kind of, yeah, that kind of blurred that whole little bit. But then it causes this branch, what I'm not a huge fan of. I know, quit telling me that. Let's try that. Now I'm just messing with it too much, I swear. There we go. That's how I had it. Yeah, see how it just kind of adds a little bit? This kind of still bothers me, but I could always lasso delete to get rid of that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just, oh, so here's my copy. Command J will copy that layer. Then I'm going to transform it and flip it. Let's kind of pull it up like that and see what happens. Do we like that? Yeah, we do. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. See how it kind of adds a little bit of different texture to it? Ooh, that's so pretty. Isn't that pretty? I also added butterflies. I can show you guys how I added those really quick. They're these butterflies that I got, I think from Etsy. I've done them before. They're these little white butterflies that I just adore, and you could actually do them like this if you wanted. But I made them like super small and put them in the background. So one thing with butterflies, so if you just do them like that, I mean, your brain might think, okay, maybe they're up by her because they're in focus. But I mean, honestly, that far away, they're probably not going to be in focus, number one. Number two, butterflies are constantly moving. If you've ever tried to catch a butterfly, you know. So I always blur my butterflies at least a little bit. Even the ones that are stationary are probably still moving. So in your filter gallery, go to blur and go to motion blur. And it makes them just a little bit more realistic, as you can see. And then I'm going to take, I have another set over here that's slightly different. And then I kind of just throw them over there. And then I can go back to my filter, and whatever I used last is still up, so then I can just go back to motion blur. And see? And even if I wanted to, you could always add that flare and then clip it to that butterfly layer, like the sun flare, and then it would put a little bit of light on them. But I like how that looks. But isn't that beautiful? It's so pretty. Also, another rule of thumb I have, like if I go far away, where does my eye go first in the image? And luckily my eye goes to her face first. If it was a little bit dark, I would have to bump it up because it might compete with these foreground flowers. If that's the case, you can always take them and bring their opacity down just a little bit if they're competing with the face, because the face is what you want to look at first. So like if you look at the image, you want to see the face first. Otherwise the elements are too distracting, and you need to either, I usually will just bump highlights on the face, and that usually does the trick for me, or I will lower the opacity over here, or darken highlights on whatever's competing for their beautiful face in the middle. So I really hope that that was as good as the first full video that I tried to upload, and it didn't. Rude. So if you have any questions, yes, it is that easy. That's how easy it is to, you know, make your own overlays with the background flowers. Actually, you know what? I am going to do this one really quick. I forgot. So this would be like if you, these are going to be pretty close peek through flowers. So just like with the other one, you're just going to go to the quick select tool, and this is going to be fast. So I'm going to use my bracket tool just so that you guys can see me do it one more time. And I've got a little bit of blue right there, but not much. I'm going to come down and get rid of some of this green though. I'm okay with a little bit of the green, but okay. So remember, once you have your flowers selected, you're going to hit Command J, and that's going to bring them onto a new layer copied. These are going to be like, and don't worry about this, we can soften that if we need to, because she's just kind of peeking through that. So we're going to then go to filter, we're going to go to blur, and we're going to go to Gaussian blur, and see how that softened that edge. And since this isn't up close, do you see we really want it to be a little bit blurrier than the background? So then we're going to bring our opacity down just a little bit where it looks like we can kind of see the outline of her gown. So then, just so that you guys can watch me do it again, plus, quick select tool, plus, make sure your background is selected. Your background layer. I'm just going to grab these flowers really quick, and I'm actually going to come down just a little bit right there, because I just don't want that blue. I don't mind the green, but I don't want the blue background. So then once again, Command J, and then go to your move tool, and it should, your selections should pop up. And what I'm trying to do is about right there. Then we're going to hit filter, and then remember the last filter you use is going to be up, so we just hit that, and that looks great. So then I'm going to bring the opacity down just where you can see the outline of her dress. Gorgeous. Then if you want to add a little bit more, we can add pink peonies vignettes, the one I use, and really it does not take much. And then to just kind of soften those edges, and then we're going to kind of mask it off of her, because, and down here even, because we want it to look like it's the blur from peeking through those flowers. How gorgeous is that? I'm going to flatten it, and then I'm going to take you to the front and the end. Isn't that gorgeous? I should have done that originally and posted that one, but Oh my gosh, isn't it pretty? And look, I'm even gonna throw some butterflies on it. Let's see what happens. Do we like that? I mean, come on, do we always love butterflies? Yes, I always love, you can't ever have too many butterflies. So let's pretend, and then we will go and put some motion blur on these guys. And I always bring the opacity down just a little bit. And I think I'm actually then going to add a Gaussian blur to these guys, just barely. Because then it kind of just goes with the whole feel. So then I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'm going to get rid of, sorry guys, but I am going to get rid of you in the front. And this one. Isn't that pretty? I just love it. I just love it. Anyway, so I hope that you guys learned something from that, and just to see really how easy it is to make your own overlays with the backgrounds that you've already purchased. So if you have any questions, comments, whatever, improvements, suggestions, go ahead and comment them below. I hope that this made sense. I will link everything, and hopefully this one will load. So thank you guys.